If you're struggling to draw from imagination, it's not because you don't have talent. It's because nobody taught you this. You hear people say, oh, just learn anatomy or gestures. I mean, don't get me wrong, these obviously are important too. But in my opinion, it all comes down to this, the 5 core forms. So why should we learn it and what is it? I believe that if you know how to use these shapes, you will be able to learn how to draw anything. The world is complex and filled with a variety of objects that comes in all shapes and sizes. Essentially, everything can be defined and simplified using these shapes. This makes it easier for us to remember and translate them into our illustrations. Once you understand this, drawing becomes less of a guessing game and you will feel more confident when drawing. Today, I'll teach you how to rotate and manipulate the 5 fundamental forms: the cube, sphere, cylinder, cone, and pyramid. Then at the end, I'll show you how to use these forms to simplify and draw a camera from any angle. Okay, let's get into this. So if this is the first time you're doing box rotations, I would recommend doing a table like this. I would increase the angle of the x-axis by 15 degrees for each angle, and I will also do the same for the y-axis. This table just makes it a lot easier to understand and rotate a box. The idea of this table is just to make it easier and give you a visual idea of what the cube should look like in relation to each other. If you're unsure, just copy what I do here. I know this exercise may seem boring guys, but it will definitely pay off in the future. Also, for beginners, I would highly recommend drawing this table first, but with enough practice you won't need tables like this in the future. Drawing boxes in space will just become intuitive. If you're really struggling here, there's another way to make it a bit easier. So with the table, the reference on the top and the reference on the left, you can actually line up the edges, and this should make it a lot easier for you if you're really struggling. So I'm just going to speed it up here because there's really not that much to talk about. Besides the fact it's a really boring exercise, especially for myself. I've done this many times just for daily routines. This is one of those exercises that you should definitely know how to do and do it regularly. It's like leg days for drawing exercises. It's not really enjoyable, but you know it's super beneficial. Although you're meant to do this exercise regularly, you shouldn't do it more than 5 minutes a day. I think it's probably okay if you're an absolute beginner and you want to spend like 20 minutes a day on this until you get a hang of it. But once you can do this exercise intuitively, I think doing 5 minutes a day is more than enough. Sometimes even 2 minutes, you know. Because once you can do this intuitively, you can do it really quickly because problem solving becomes a lot easier. And if you're a beginner, that should be the goal. Now that we are finished rotating the box, I want to give you an example how you can rotate other forms. So to make it more clear, I've drawn out the X, Y and Z axis here. So for the cylinder, I'm going to have it rotating towards me. So by the time it's pointing at me, it will be completely circular. You should also think about the opposite face of the cylinder. Is it getting smaller or larger? In this case, the opposite face of the cylinder is getting smaller, almost like they're about to converge with each other. You will learn why this is the case in the future perspective video. But one thing to keep in mind is as things are getting further away, is also getting smaller, and parallel lines will meet at one point. If that seems all confusing to you, don't worry about it, I'll explain it all in the future videos. Now I'm rotating the cone around the x-axis, and this should be a lot easier now that I've shown you how to do it with the cylinder. Because with the cone you can actually fit that inside the cylinder. As you see here, the bottom of the cone will be completely circular once it's facing you. And you won't see the pointy part of the cone because it's smaller than the base. Moving on to the sphere. Usually a sphere wouldn't look any different when you rotate it on its own, but to make it look like it's rotating, just put like an X mark on it. Make sure you wrap it around like a candy wrap so it looks right around the form. A pyramid is just as easy as rotating a box. If you're struggling, just draw the box first, then fit the pyramid inside it. Okay, let's talk about form manipulation. So the first two exercises we are going to cover is adding and subtracting. These exercises is very helpful in simplifying more complicated objects such as engine parts or the human anatomy. For beginners, you'll probably find it quite hard to merge shapes together that are rounded. So at the beginning, I would probably start with cubes and pyramids, then slowly one by one adding more curvature. I'm not going to lie, this exercise was actually quite hard for me at the start, especially for the rounded forms. I couldn't seem to find any answers on the internet with technical terms of how it works and how it should merge together, like where lines should intersect properly and what you should be seeing more. Man, I hope what I just said makes sense. I mean, I did find some videos on YouTube on how to intersect properly, but when I compared it to my Blender models, it actually seems like they were wrong. So I think for reliability, I think the best way to get your answers is actually going to Blender. So for those of you who don't know what Blender is a 3D modeling tool and it's completely free to use, open source. I will link in the bio for you guys. And on Blender, you can just create your own reference. So if there's something that you don't quite understand, you can just put it together on Blender and, you know, get your answers. So on to twisting and bending. This is actually a really good exercise if you want to know how to draw fabric, because often there's just a lot of creases, and what influence those creases is twists and turns. For bending, this is quite important when it comes to the human body, because we are squishy human beings and we have a mass, so when we extend or flex, there will be certain interactions with the mass of our body. Okay, what is the best coarse shapes we can use to represent the camera here? If you guess the cube and cylinder, you're right. We can use the cylinder for the lens and we can use the cube for the body. So usually what I like to do is when I want to learn something new to draw, get really good reference, and the best reference you can get is from real life. It's best when you can actually feel the object and play with it. Obviously, we can't always have live objects, so if you want to use reference photos, that's completely okay. What I recommend is use high quality photos and in every angle if possible, because in that case you can get the details. Oftentimes it's quite hard to find photos of every angle for a particular object. So if you see something interesting when you're going to school or work, take photos of it and try getting every angle. Therefore you have your own reference, and that's actually what I prefer if I don't have the actual object in hand. Another way to refine reference is use 3D models. So my favorite way of collecting reference is actually just taking photos yourself if you find something interesting when you go out. So the first stage was about breaking down the overall shape of the object, while maintaining some details. The next stage is hide your reference, and from memory try draw the camera in every angle in the most simplistic form. Don't worry about the details here. The point of this exercise is to get the form into your head. Challenge yourself and try in every angle. You will start to find weaknesses, and that's a good thing because later on we will correct our drawings with reference, and that's how you learn. If you find this hard, you can also use the cube table method as I did here. This will just simplify things a little bit more for you, so it will make it slightly easier. So now that you understand the overall form of your object, it becomes so much more easier to add the details. If you want to learn more, I made a video on how to draw anything in 3 steps. So I'll link that in the bio and the ending credits for you if you're interested. Alright guys, thanks for watching. I just want to let you know I spent a lot of time trying to make this video happen. There's a lot of trials and errors and a big learning curve for me. But I am enjoying myself and having a lot of fun making these videos. And I do enjoy sharing what I've learned with you guys. And none of this would have happened if I've never saw Kim Jung Gi's drawings. So a big shout out to Kim Jung Gi and Peter Han for just being incredible at what they do.